Welcome back, friends, to the next step of our metal truss cover for our Airstream.
This is the 14th video in this series, so if you're curious about how this all came to be, check out the playlist here.
We left off with the solar pump house plumbed, the 12-volt system built, ready to connect them together and leak test. So let's check it out. As you can imagine, nothing worked out perfectly linear with all of this pump house stuff. We did some parts here and some parts there, and then we had to come back, and there were leaks. And so we're going to talk about all the different things that we did sort of after the hookup that we didn't necessarily get to film because we were in the middle of a bunch of other things.
Yeah. First up is the switch.
Yep.
You may have saw we have a 12-volt switch. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And
I like it when you talk 12-volt.
One of the switches is for the water pump. One is for the heating pad. So we can turn both on or off whenever we need to.
Yeah, and it's on the outside of the pump house, so we don't have to lift up the very large lid to be able to get to those things. Second was that AC smart charger we talked about in the last video. We didn't get a lot of video of actually hooking it up, but again, it plugs into the AC outlet that we installed inside the pump house. It goes straight to the battery and it keeps it topped off so that we charge via our AC power, but also have that solar panel. And all I had to do was get in and change a few settings so it was set to the battery type. Third was my panic the first time I started the pump, and it didn't seem to work at all the way that it should.
Yeah, he came out and he was like, "We have a problem. Pump isn't working."
Well, I mean, it was on.
Yeah.
And it was making noise, but there was no water actually getting from the tank to the pump. Like, I couldn't see it in the hoses anywhere.
Our first thought was, oh crap, maybe that pump isn't strong enough to pull water because we dug that tank down and it has to come up 3 feet.
Or maybe the pipe was too small, or like we were freaking out.
You were freaking out. I said, what did I say? Everything's going to work out just fine.
Also we were eating. So like I came in for lunch and I was like, and you were like, let's just eat and then we'll go look at it.
Uh-huh.
So after we ate, I went up and I was like, you know what? This tank is below the pump. Every other system we've installed, the tank is at the same level or above it, and it's already primed the pump because the water's just been able to flow into it. So I realized I just needed to open one of the spigots and let it actually pull through and prime. That's all.
And it all worked out
And it was
fine,
fine,
right?
Everything was fine.
Everything's fine.
Fourth, we did have a few leaks.
Two minor leaks.
2 minor leaks.
Yeah.
The first one was just a simple hose clamp. It was like back in that corner, and I was not able to get on it as tight as I thought I did, and so that was an easy fix. But that other one, it's the same one that leaked in the chicken garden. It's when we stepped down from that big metal pipe out of the pressure tank down into a PVC fitting to a nylon fitting, and when that nylon goes into the PVC, it leaks every single time, no matter what, no matter how much tape or how much pipe dope, every single time.
Hey, but guess what?
We fixed it.
We fixed it.
And in the future, I'm thinking that what I might do is go from the PVC adapter
to another PVC.
To a PVC adapter that will go straight into the ball valve and then go to nylon out of that.
I think we should try that on our version
Our fourth
4.0.
solar pump house.
And finally, we had problems with our pressure tank again.
So this brand of pressure tank seems to ship their tanks with more air from the factory than our other pressure tank. And so we were having a lot of issues. It just wasn't filling up, and I think it's because the pressure was too high, and so it was just hitting that bladder. And we're like, okay, well, this isn't right. So we had to do all this research. So this is what we figured out. With a pressure tank, you want to set it 2 psi below when your water pump turns on, not when it turns off. So it stops at 45 psi, but we had to go into the bowels of the internet to find the actual manual because we didn't get a manual with the pump when we ordered it, which was weird. Anyway, turns out that number is 27 psi, which is really low. And so the tank had 40 something psi in it. So I had to let out half of the air in the tank, which seemed wrong, but turns out it was right. And it works. Now you know.
That's a lot of talking, babe.
I know. I'm sorry. Pressure tanks. One thing we haven't done with this rainwater catchment tank is we haven't installed the overflow. So it's not been full yet, but it could be, in the future. So we're going to put this in. So you drill a hole and you slide this in, and basically when the water gets to this level, it'll come out. It's got a screen on it, and then there's this other thing, which I don't have over here, but it's called a Mozzie stop that's going to go on that. We still have to get some pipe to actually come out and go down. But for now, we'll get this in, then we got to get that pipe, and we'll put in the rest of it. So again, this is temporary. We are going to actually plumb a PVC pipe out and down and then out a little bit to make sure that when the water comes out, it's not near the base of the tank and definitely not near the base of the concrete pad over there. And then we'll create some sort of basin or a tree or something that it can water. We just have to we're short our pipe, so we got to go get some more pipe before we can do that. But this will work for now. We get a lot of questions about the tanks and if they're going to let sunlight in and bacteria will start to grow, and what do we do with standing water? Well, there's a reason we buy Enduraplast tanks, because look how thick that is. There's no sunlight that's going to get through that. So we're not worried about the water in our tanks at all, because these things are built for heavy outdoor use. So yeah, I had never actually seen that pulled out of there. That's crazy.
Also, we also have filters.
Right. There's a filter on the inlet, and then that Mozzie stop will keep bugs from getting in. And we even put a little screen up on the gutter inlets so that stuff can't crawl down in there. I don't know what would crawl down in there, but just in case. So yeah, we're not too worried about it.
So, what does this all mean?
It means...
I was going to say, and then you
sorry.
interrupted
I
me,
thought
so
you were
I don't know
asking
what
me
you
a
wanna
question.
do. Okay, so what does all this mean? Do you want me to say? I'm going to ask a question and you can answer.
You want me to answer?
Yeah, do you want to answer it?
Okay.
Okay. So, what does all this mean?
It means that we get to start prepping the Airstream to move it to the airport.
What? Today is going to be fun. We're going to clean up this deck, get all that stuff off there so that we can wash the Airstream, and that means we are this close to moving. have a problem. There's a reason that we never opened this. I don't even know how it got open. One of the kids must have like ran into it or something. Anyway, the door came off, and where it kind of has like this U-shaped bracket that has to mount to the Airstream, and it's very messed up because this is a 50-year-old trailer. And so it's incredibly hard to get it back on. I remember that when we renovated it, it took hours probably to get this back on, and he's not too happy. You get it?
I got it.
What did you have to do?
I just fixed the
Middle section.
The little middle section. It was like too far in. So I did that, and then it just slid right in the track. I think it just couldn't get in there, and then it was getting stuck.
Good job, babe. So smart and tall. And perfect in every way.
Step into the weekend. I'm stuck inside the sequence. It's like keeping it a secret. It's all I do. Yeah, yeah. It's okay. It's alright. That's what I tell myself. I tell myself it's okay. It's alright. Do with it what you will. Tell me how you really feel. Dancing in the dark. Can you see what's come between us? Dancing in the
That's right. You just saw the very last video we ever took of the Airstream in its original spot. It seems like just yesterday when we pulled this thing onto this property and parked it there.
And now it's been 2.5 years. We've taken everything that we've learned, and we have built a beautiful resting spot for our vintage Airstream, our tiny shiny home.
In the next video, we're going to move it to the airport and create a beautiful living space around it, and we can't wait to show it to you.
We'll see you then.
It's